In this video, I'd like to talk about the whole tone scale and whole tone runs. These are like the kinds of runs you'd hear from Thelonious Monk, like from the album Alone in San Francisco. This is a run from Pannonica. Here's a short excerpt from Reflections. These are fun ways to show off a bit, resolve chords, and move between phrases. The first thing to learn is fingering. If you've been following my tutorials, you know I like to think about note clusters and finding the most optimal fingering map for scales and runs. At the piano, there are two whole tone scales. Starting with the easy one, there's only 3 places to put your thumb to optimize range of motion: C, D, and E. We can form 4, 3, and 2 note clusters from these notes. Check out my previous tutorials to see what else you can do with these note clusters. If you're moving through the scale by step, like in these Monk runs, you'll probably want to prioritize your thumb being on E, forming a 4-note cluster, and C, forming a 2-note cluster. There aren't other ways to play it without sacrificing ease of motion. The other whole tone scale is a bit more difficult because there are multiple ways to play it. Personally, I like putting my thumbs on A and F and creating 4-note and 2-note clusters. One reason is because I like crossing over my 4th finger onto the E flat. But I'd recommend practicing a few variations. I probably use a few different fingerings when I'm improvising. Whatever you decide, they'll probably come from this fingering map. One thing to do next is to add the left hand and harmony. What you're hearing now is me using one of the whole tone scales to resolve to different harmonies. In my head, I'm thinking, let's resolve to A flat major, like in the Pannonica example, and my goal is to reach the 3rd of that chord. Sometimes I use a chromatic cluster to get there, but I always land on the 3rd, mostly using the whole tone scale to get there. You can also try starting the run from different notes of the scale. Check out some Monk transcriptions for other ways to practice resolving the scale. Another fun thing to do is combine the 2 whole tone scales and their fingering maps to create your own runs. It'll take some experimenting, but you can find some combinations that sound interesting and are really easy to play, like these 2 note clusters. Or these 2.